I hope to give you some insight on some commonly used typefaces that you can add to your font collection to help make picking fonts much easier for your design projects. At one time, I had over 1,000 different fonts installed. I use only a small handful, and I suggest you keep a special list of 20 to 30 hand-picked commonly used fonts you can use on projects. Not only will it help you be consistent, but also help picking those fonts out for the next project a lot easier for you. In the serif typeface category, there are several wonderful choices. Obviously, Times New Roman is the default serif font that you see on most programs like Microsoft Word, for example. But have you heard of Didot, Bakersville, Garamond? What are the difference between all of these, and how do I know when to use which one in a particular project? To better understand this, we need to go back way in time to the first uses of serif fonts as we know them today. There are 4 main categories of serif fonts: old style, transitional, Didone, and slab serifs. These are listed in order and when they were first used in history. Old style was used a long time ago when publishing was really just getting started. Italian printers were interested in creating a type that was easy to read for book printing. Old style typefaces are very easy to read in printed form, and that's because there's not a large difference in contrast in the thickness of the lines or strokes. Some great examples of old style fonts are Garamond, Berkeley, Minion, and Palantino. The next evolutionary step serifs made was a move into transitional. Transitional was established in the mid-18th century, and they are between old style and modern fonts, therefore the name transitional. The contrast or the difference between the thickness of the lines and the characters are more dramatic with transitional serifs. Instead of harsh endings, transitional fonts tend to end with ball terminals. Ball terminals are the rounded ends of the type stems, as opposed to the rough end, as in this example. Times New Roman is a classic example of a transitional font. Didone, or the modern serif, is the next step in its history. These are characterized by even more dramatic contrast between the thickness and thinness of the lines in the typeface. Didot is a common and readily used example of a Didone or modern serif. Bondoni is another wonderful example, and it's commonly found in design programs as a default option. Take for instance Canva. It has this font available as a default selection. Didones or modern serifs are highly stylized, and it's no wonder they're commonly found in high-end fashion brands. Because there is a high contrast between the thickness and thinness of the lines, you could put more dramatic spacing between the characters to create a dramatic effect. A lot of major brands use Didot as their typeface of choice, such as Vogue and also CBS, which is a major broadcasting company. I personally tend to pick a modern serif font when working for high-end clients, as those thinner lines seem to add a more beautiful elegance that's hard to achieve with an old-style serif font. They can also be good for dramatic poster headlines with simple, solid backgrounds. The last stop in the history of serif fonts is the slab serif. Very different from its predecessors, this font was originally designed to demand one's attention on poster designs. They have very thick, bold lines with almost zero contrast. Chunky, thick, and bold, they certainly grabbed our attention throughout the years. They even used slab serifs on wanted posters back in the Old West to make sure you took notice. And designers use slab serifs for the same reason. If you have a political statement, a slab serif might be a good way to command one's attention. Rockwell is a great example of a slab serif. The IBM logo uses a custom font very close to Rockwell. Archer and Archer Pro are both slab serifs I commonly use in my design projects, and you can see a similar font being used by a large bank called Wells Fargo. We had a wonderful dive into serif typefaces. Now let's check out sans serif typefaces. Make sure you download the downloadable resource in this lesson that includes some of my favorite picks for certain types of styles of typography. Of course, collect your own list and make your own so that you can always have a list to go to when you're doing client projects.